Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Southwest Alliance webinar on finding and planning for stable funding for your self-advocacy group. Southwest Alliance is in its third year, and the goals of the project are to share information from your state and about self-advocacy, create a video blog about disability issues, lead webinars about strengthening self-advocacy organization, and work on sustainability and recruiting youth leaders. And today, Colorado will be presenting. Here you go.
Hey guys, thanks for joining today. From Colorado, we have
Vicky.
I'm Kaylee.
This is Heidi, and we've got I'm Abigail, and I'm going to be filling in for Joni, who can't make it today, unfortunately. All right.
So let's talk about funding. So the purpose of today is to talk about the different sources and ways that your self-advocacy group can get funding. And funding is important for sustainability and being able to keep your programs going. So that's what we hope to talk about today.
Okay. Why is it important?
Okay.
So on our next slide, we'll talk about why it's important and what your group needs money for.
Me, stays and technically, meeting refreshment and transportation travel, and frozen melting and outside the van.
So yeah, all those things are important to both maintaining the group you have and, you know, having a space to meet, having things for refreshments and things to make people want to come. You know, some people may need help with transportation and things like that. And then also growing your group and keeping it going through promotional materials to recruit new members, you know, at just the administrative costs. If you need to pay someone to take care of any of the kind of more important side of things for your group and things like that.
A fundraising plan, no matter how small your self-advocacy group is or how long you have been operating a certain way, your group needs a comprehensive, well-written fundraising plan to be sustainable.
You should write a plan that allows you to form your often plan and early and fundraising so they know what to do and adapt.
So yeah, having a written plan is just a really good, tangible way to keep track of the money you're making, how you're going to make money, and planning those events out throughout your year. So you have an idea of what you can do and what you'll be able to do. So a poll question for everybody. Does your self-advocacy group have a fundraising plan or a committee or somebody in your group that's in charge of taking care of and planning your fundraising events or goals?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not.
So has everyone answered their polls? Let's see. 50-50. It sounds like about half of us do have plans and the other half don't. So this is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about, you know, again, why a plan is important and what kind of ideas you can come up with.
Those days.
So back in the old days, we're going to talk a little bit about how our group and how other self-advocacy and groups have done fundraising back in the day.
So groups raise money mostly from simple fundraisers, such as bake sales, catalog and candy sales, dances, community carnivals with booths.
But as times change, so do the ways that groups can make money and get support. Self-advocacy groups often get in-kind donations such as meeting spaces, supplies, volunteer time, supports, and food.
Yeah. Self-advocacy group also has raising money from membership, valid donation and contributing a grant, trust fund, and and donate from grocery stores.
And also reoccurring events, company supports like from Target, sponsorships from organizations.
So today there are a lot more ways for groups to make money. Fundraising technology has made the donation process a lot easier for your supporters. If you look at the back in the day ways to go about it, a lot of that was right in person. You were giving a good or something and somebody was making a donation to you. But now we can do that through technology and the internet.
The technology made it easy to reach people where they are, because most new fundraising tools are in the mode online stage, and your foreign donation base and no longer limit your events attend or your mail-in list.
Technology has also made it easier to reach people where they are. Anyone with an internet access or a cell phone can become a close supporter of your cause. Your donors can access your cause from anywhere, reducing another barrier to donation and increasing your overall proceeds.
Some popular technology tools include Facebook, of course. Facebook for nonprofits, so it's on the next slide. With more than 1 billion active social users, Facebook is the largest social network in the world. More than 2/3 of its users log in every day, and 3/4 do so on a mobile device. Without a doubt, your nonprofit supporters use Facebook on a regular basis.
Some donate investment or website that link to pay for the account.
You can link to PayPal through a Facebook page, through a website. If your group sends out an online newsletter or anything like that, you can include that button almost anywhere online to link supporters right to a place where they can donate to you.
Yeah. This is a great way to give people a chance to donate in or nationwide. They are looking at your group website. On the way people can get just by shopping.
Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile is a website operated by Amazon, the big online retailer, with the same products, prices, and shopping features just as using regular Amazon.com. The difference is when you shop on Amazon Smile, the foundation will donate 0.5% of the purchase price of eligible products to the charitable organization of your choice. So you can create an account for your nonprofit. You can send out in all your communications and on your website that if people shop through Amazon Smile, they don't have to do anything but buy what they were already going to buy, and part of that money will go towards supporting your group. Another cool way to raise money and get people excited is through CrowdRise.
CrowdRise is the most innovative modern crowdfunding platform for charitable causes. The American Red Cross, as well as tens of thousands of smaller nonprofits, use CrowdRise for peer-to-peer fundraising, event and team fundraising, and creative fundraising campaigns.
Okay, so we have the second poll question, which is, has your group ever used technology to raise money? Yes or no?
No, so 100% of respondents said that they haven't used technology to raise money. So yeah, I think this is a new way that people are just kind of now learning about and starting to get really savvy with and use more. So I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to think about how we can access this to raise more money for our groups.
Have you guys used it?
We actually haven't, no. We haven't started looking into that yet, but that's definitely a goal.
Okay.
When you decide to head online and campaign in-person event uncommon, often the fundraising plan will help you plan for your group future.
So yeah, just back to that fundraising plan that some of us have and some of us don't, but we'll give you a few ideas and steps on how to develop a plan. The first step
Look at how your group had got money in the past and decade. You can count on the money in the future.
that includes, like, if you have members that would pay dues and maybe they're not around anymore, you have more or less members that can change. Maybe you had some people that used to be really big donors and you need to look into whether they're going to continue doing that or not. Just figure out what you still have and what kind of gaps you need to fill if you're not going to be able to get monies that you did before.
Talk with your group about different and see who will have the time to do the legwork on during a new business stream.
The third step, make a fundraising plan and assign members to different tasks. Make sure your group takes time with the plan and follows through.
The fourth step is to begin to track how successful the new fundraising efforts are so that you have better data for future plans.
It's always important to make sure you're looking at how successful your fundraising is, because if your group's putting time and effort and maybe even some of your own money into trying to make more money, but you don't make more money, that's definitely not something you want to do again in the future. So you've always got to be able to evaluate what you're doing and readjust if it's not working.
Okay. Now, self-housing group will feel confident that their group is something that self-housing can continue in this area.
Does anyone have questions?
Any questions?
So, which one of the newer ways have you guys tried? Have you got to implement any newer ways?
We haven't been able to implement, any of those ways with technology yet. I think for us and for every group, the easiest place to start that takes the least amount of effort would be to set up an account on Amazon Smile, because all you have to do is create the account. There's probably some sort of verification, and then you just tell people, and even yourself when you're shopping on Amazon, which I think a lot of people use now, then all you have to do is just go through the Amazon Smile page instead, and it's such an easy, just a really easy way to make a little bit of money now and then.
Yeah, one of the things that I did was I did look on some of the fundraising for your cause. I forget what that one's called. Is it cause? Yeah, it's cause, but it has a word in front of it I can't think of. Anyway, it did ask some questions, so you have to be ready to describe your group, also have a plan for what you're raising it for, and be as clear as possible. Remember that you gotta work two angles in most of the things that self-advocacy does. Is you gotta figure out what the heart says about your organization, but you also have to think about what somebody who is looking to give money to, they may not be into the heart of it, but they may be looking for somebody that needs the money to think about. So it's like answering the heart and the mind question. Why would somebody who has money to donate give money to it? And they usually want concrete things like, I'm raising it for a new building, or I'm raising it for a specific event. They like it more concrete, instead of the heartfelt, we're trying to help 12 self-advocates go to a conference. Sometimes that works, but not for everything. So you might actually have to do two causes to see which one gets the most activity, so that you would know the next time where your base is, that gets you the most attention. That's what I learned so far on the technology one. And our group has not been ready for that either, because they don't always know concretely what they want. So that's one of the things that I learned. And PayPal, it does take a percentage of what is donated. It's very small, but it does take it, just as an administrative cost, I believe is what they call it, but it's very minimal, and it does protect, they do claim to protect people's donation information, the way that they're set up. So that's all I know about it, but I was just wondering if anybody else had read any more about it out there.
Yeah, I know PayPal definitely has that small kind of fee. I think too, it's definitely the most established and well-known, I think, secure way to make payments. I think if most people are going to be paying for something online, when they see it's through PayPal, they know that it's going to be safe. And so that's a good draw to get people to donate through that platform. I know we mentioned Facebook, and I think just in the last year or so, Facebook has actually developed where you can fundraise right on there. You can start a fundraiser on your nonprofit. It's almost like an event page on Facebook that people can go to, and you can see how much money you've raised. If you set a certain amount that you're looking for, you can directly send out campaigns on Facebook and link people back. So it's all through that platform, and I've seen a lot more people use that. Yeah, and then like with CrowdRise, obviously there's lots of other platforms. I think a really popular one is GoFundMe. People are using that for different campaigns, which are also really easy to share through social media and through email.
But you do have to be organized when you set anything up. So your group may want to look at it and then write out all the answers to the question. And again, try to think of how you want to describe your group to the different types of people that might be wanting to donate. Some donate from their heart, and some donate because they have extra money that they're looking for a nonprofit to give to that does good work. And so you're less story and more concrete for that donor. So you try different ways to have people look at it, but a lot of things have done from the heart, so don't discount that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are a couple of different types of donors. And the most successful organizations have set up those donations that come through, not endowments, the other one that you guys said, but
Trust funds?
Trust funds, yeah. Trust funds in different ways. That one has been the most successful for things like sheltered workshops and stuff. They have a tendency to do more of that, and they are real successful because they usually go after funding a particular program or building, and that gives people the brick and mortar, they call it, donation. And our stuff is a little harder sometimes to put in those kind of words and things like that. So think about it when you're getting ready to set one of these up. What is it that you really are going after?
Great, yeah. Are there any other questions or ideas?
Yes, this is Ebony in South Carolina, and I have a question. You guys may have already kind of touched on this in the beginning, but if your group has not thought about fundraising, but it's something that you are thinking about, because that's the case with my self-advocacy group in South Carolina, how do you begin to start the discussion with fundraising? I know for my group, I'm an officer of the group, but I think fundraising is important. But how do I begin to start that discussion with the fellow officers, and then us come up with a plan to discuss that with the other members as well?
Yeah, so I think definitely first designating somebody that's kind of going to take the lead on that, whether that's you, whether that's another officer in the group. You want to look at kind of what your resources are currently, what maybe your group did in the past that you're not doing anymore to raise money, where has your money come from before, looking at that. And then I think the big thing with fundraising is having a goal. Think about what your goal is, whether that's just to raise the amount of money you have in your account for reserves, whether that's maybe a certain trip or expense that you guys want to be able to cover for your members. Maybe think of a very specific goal that you want to work towards. And then I think the other pieces in the middle will fall into place easier, as in deciding, you know, what way you want to go about it, whether you want to do some sort of fundraising event, whether you want to do an online campaign through the technology we've talked about. I think having someone in charge, knowing what's been done already, and then having a goal for the future would be the best place to start.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a question, and this is open to everybody. Is there other experiences with fundraising that you guys have had? Like, for instance, restaurants or something like that?
Yeah, we've gotten donations before from grocery stores and from restaurants, kind of in-kind donations for meetings. But one of the things that's sort of been unique as we've talked to groups from around the country is that we are fairly well supported through an organization, which is the ARC. They provide a lot of our meeting space and all of our technology, and then they also offer us, the group has to approve of, but advisors that are supported again through the ARC. So there isn't, and all of the meetings and food at meetings and transportation to and from meetings is usually paid for by them as well. So the self-advocacy groups, a lot of them in Colorado, have a pretty good relationship with an organization, which has made it kind of not as necessary to fundraise, but it's something that we want to do as we move forward, because the group wants to do more and more things. So we're actually in the process of trying to figure out how that would work. And so we were excited to do this webinar because now we have a lot of ideas.
Another thing that we didn't touch on, but as far as working with other companies, I know a lot of restaurant, especially kind of some of the more like the fast casual chains now, like Chipotle, Noodles and Company, things like that, will do nonprofit nights where you work with the restaurant and you can plan a night where there's a couple of things. One, they often usually ask that you're going to bring in a certain amount of customers that night. So say your group has to guarantee that you'll have at least 40 people come into the restaurant that night. And when they order their food, they mention your nonprofit, and then part of the proceeds from the sales that night will go directly back to you guys. So like I said, often they ask for a guarantee of how many people you have there, and they often want some representative of the organization at the restaurant during the entire time that you're running your event, whether it be an all-day thing, whether it just be a few hours one night. But that's also a really easy way for your group to make a little bit of money, and also just increase your partnerships with communities in the organization and spread the word to other companies and people about your group and what you're doing.
That's actually a very good point. I think we've had some experience with that. Monica, are you on?
Where's Monica?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Monica, you might need to unmute your phone.
Sorry.
We
hear you now.
Okay. I know People First of Arizona has done that kind of thing in the past, where we've had an event, and we've done it with California Pizza Kitchen, where we've had, people come into the restaurant. You have to have so many, and then a certain amount of your proceeds go to the organization. And we were just recently talking at the last meeting about finding a different place that isn't so expensive, but some places if you don't have there's one place, I forget now which one it is, but if you don't have 20 people, you don't get a dime.
Yeah, so that's great to know. That make sure you look at what the terms are are of those events and make sure that it's something feasible for your nonprofit. Because if you can't really guarantee that you're going to have 20 people come, then it's not worth the effort. Did your group feel like the fundraiser you did that way was successful, or in relation to the amount of effort you guys had to put into making it happen?
I'm really not sure. I know I know we had so many people, and I think it's always dependent on how many people show up. I'm not saying they weren't a success, but I think it depends on how many people show up.
We've done it twice with California Pizza Kitchen. One time we were really, really close to meeting their minimum, and they gave us a minimum donation. And another time they were real literal about the percentage because we did not meet their requirement. So we've had it real successful one time and not as much the second time. But I think they actually give you some advertisement that has all their information on it, their address, all that already printed. And it tells the person your name, the name of your organization. You fill in all your information, and they give you a little, it's called a template, a sample that you fill in, and then you can print it off and hand it out to people that are part of your groups. They do have restrictions, though, about handing it out at the location. They feel that you should be able to hand it out at other locations to make your needs known. So sometimes they have restrictions on handing out materials because that's kind of like soliciting, and some restaurant areas are not allowed to do that. So just know that you have to have enough planned connections before your event to hand out those advertisements, or you might have to make your own flyer and get it out so that they know what to say when they get to the restaurant, because we want to make sure it gets credited to the right group, because if they're not clear, that ticket has to be stapled to that flyer or to that advertisement a lot of times for you to get that percentage off of the bill. So yes, one time we had it, it was very successful. Another time it was not as successful. So it's just about advertising. You going to different meetings and handing them out and being really positive and generous about, you already like the food there, so, why not support us one night and, plan for people to come in from different organizations that your members are part of. That's how the first one was really successful.
One of the restrictions that they had to was on the day of your event. A lot of times it won't probably be a Friday or Saturday.
It was a particular day of the week.
And I think that it's important to be upfront and make sure that everybody knows what the rules are. So when you're telling people to go to, for instance, in this case, California Pizza Kitchen, you have to make sure that you're clear with everybody you're trying to get to go there. Tell them what they need to do, and then what are your goals. Maybe you have a financial goal, but in this case, your goal was to get so many people through the door. And if people don't know this, then they might not be as interested in going. But if they go, oh, well, I'm going to go because they need to get at least 20 people there, that might spark their interest more, because they might think, well, I'm going to go because I need to support them just to make sure they reach their goal.
So we had whole families come out and order to make sure that, it was going to help us enough. And that really made a big difference.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think letting people know that you have that goal of the amount of people to get through, and if you don't meet that, then it doesn't work out. That definitely encourages people to bring their family and bring their friends and help you reach that body count.
Yeah, I mean, and this goes to that fundraising plan that you were talking about. You have to be very clear as to what your goal is, and you know, is it a reasonable goal? Is it an attainable goal? And how are you planning to get there, you know?
Definitely. Anything else, guys?
One of the things too that we found was fundraising events. We need to remember that those are events, things that you do out in the community. A lot of times are fundraising events for your members. So it's a celebration of all your members, and to say thank you to them for making sure that they are appreciated, and that, because sometimes it may not be your biggest event for money wise, but you might have 40 or 50 members really come, and that's to say thank you. So what we also did was, we as members walked around to the tables where we knew that they were supporting us, and said thank you while they were there. Say, I'm the president, or I'm the treasurer, and we wanted to say thank you for supporting our event while they were there, because they may not be people that you see all the time. So a lot of times people will have the flyer, and you'll notice, hey, that's one of our flyers. They're at that table over there. And then another thing is to make sure you put something in some kind of e-announcement or Facebook or somewhere that also says thank you, because that's a member appreciation kind of event. Even though you might be raising money for sending 15 people to a conference or something like that, it might be something, or a leadership institute or whatever it might be. You're saying thank you for that, but you're also saying thank you to our members and giving them something fun to do to support you.
And that's a very good point. I mean, when you set out to have a fundraising goal, you want to say why you're doing this. And then once you are done with your fundraising goal, even if you don't reach the total amount that you need, let's say you want to send a group of people to a conference. When you send out that thank you, you say, thank you for everyone that supported us. Because of your help, we are this many steps closer to reaching our goal, and we're going to continue to try, and your efforts really help make a difference. Or maybe you did reach that goal, and because of your help, we were able to do this, and now we're able to send people to this conference, or we're able to reach this many more people, or whatever the case is. But yeah, thanking them is always important, and letting them know that their efforts actually made a difference, and how it made a difference, as opposed to just going, well, we showed up and we never heard anything else from them, so I don't know if they were successful or not, or what they did with the money.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That's a great point, that people really want to be thanked, and sending out that information afterwards is so important to keeping donors, because if someone doesn't get a thank you or an update when they've given you money, they're probably not going to do it again. So that's really important to retaining those resources, and just keeping people happy and invested in your group. Another just a quick tip I thought of, if your group really doesn't even have maybe the budget to, say, develop some marketing materials or things like that, that's another place to look for in-kind donations. I've had success reaching out to different, whether it be a design or marketing company, or even checking your networks for people who might do freelance work. they'll often either completely donate time and work into developing maybe a flyer for you or a brochure or something like that, or they'll give you a really, really discounted rate if you tell them about your nonprofit and your group and what you guys are trying to do. So if you're worried even about that first step of having the materials to do some kind of fundraising, then make sure you really take advantage of looking for in-kind donations and things like that to get started.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colorado, for presenting. I just wanted to remind everybody of the upcoming Southwest Alliance webinars. August 2nd, New Mexico will be presenting on grant and proposed writing. And then August 30th, Texas will be presenting on Robert Rules of Order. And then those members of Southwest Alliance, it's a reminder that the face-to-face meeting will be September 7th and 8th.
Great. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We'll be taking this video and posting it up on YouTube shortly, so be sure to be waiting for that and sharing it with all your friends and families and potential donors.
It's a great Christmas gift.
It's the gift that keeps on giving as long as you keep